Welcome back to the Winded Podcast. I'm your host, Seamus Sullivan, and if you are not already following the podcast, we are available on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon. And make sure you're following the Instagram at Winded Pod, and my TikTok is Seamus_Sullivan. But enough about me. Let's get into today's guests. Coming all the way from North Dakota, I grew up in a small town in North Dakota, but didn't let the confines of a small town stop her from going after her dreams. Eventually became Miss North Dakota 2024, also a lifestyle host and producer. Does a lot on social media. Today I have Sophia Richards. How you doing today, Sophia?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
I am so excited to have you. Like I said, and even before we got on, you are not just this typical pageant personality. Like, you have a lot to it. It's you grew up in North Dakota, which is, for me, that's seems like another country. That's,
Yep.
totally different lifestyle than I'm used to here in Boston. So very excited to kind of hear your story and what you're up to and what you got going on next. Um, mentioned that you're a lifestyle host and producer, formerly of
Yes.
North Dakota Today. No longer. That's a recent development. But would love to kind of talk to you about your time with North Dakota Today and what you have going on now and what's going on next.
Yeah. So when I was a senior in college, I actually met my former boss at a networking event. And I had been a guest on North Dakota Today before and was just so smitten with like the lights, the set. I mean, I was so impressed by the anchors of the show. And had kind of thought previously that I was going to do like social media marketing for my career. But after visiting the news station, I had in my mind, like maybe this is something I could do. I had no journalism experience. I wasn't even a member of the NDSU like student news club. Literally no experience. And I met my former boss, like I mentioned, at this networking event and basically was like, "Hey, I'm about to graduate. Like, are you guys hiring in whatever role? Like, I really enjoy the atmosphere of the news station. Like, I want to be involved somehow." And he kind of looked me up and down and he was like, "We actually have an opening on North Dakota Today." Like, literally just met me. Like, this is a stranger. Um, and he was like, "Let me get your email and like I'll email you next week and we can set something up, have you come to the station." And I was like, "Okay, great, whatever." And I get home from the networking event and he had already emailed me. He's like, "Come in on Monday, we'll give you a tour of the station and just chat about some opportunities for you, whatever." And yeah, went in. They had me do a screen test. Like I mentioned, I had no experience. I didn't even know what a screen test was, but I like quickly Googled it and decided if it was something I could figure out. I'm very much like a fake it till you make it person. So went in, screen test went really well, had like another interview with the host of the show currently. And like 2 months later, it was kind of a long process. They were remodeling their building at the time. So 2 months later, they were like, sent me over my contract and I was officially hired. And I actually was hired in March of 2023 and I graduated in May. So I still had about 2 months left of being a full time college student and a full time anchor producer on North Dakota Today, which was insane. And it taught me a lot of skills about time
Yeah.
management and just who I was as a person. But it was a really fantastic opportunity. I was there for a little over 3 years. I had just recently gotten promoted actually to executive producer. I had gotten a raise and everything, and decided to extend my contract, but I unfortunately was fired very recently. And it's really like nothing on them. I understand why, but basically what happened is I shared a very personal story on my social media. Everything was 100% correct in it, right? 100% truthful. I had like confirmed it from multiple sources. And basically, who the video was about was not happy about it. It was obviously a very personal situation. And basically called over to the news station and kind of got me fired, which it's like, okay, I understand when you do decide to make something so public, like, there can be repercussions for it. However, I think I was disappointed because it was a news station and we're supposed to be the truth tellers within our community and supposed to, let people know what's going on. And obviously, freedom of speech is something that I thought the station valued a lot, but they clearly do not. So that's my story.
That's definitely a tricky situation where
Yeah.
you're on your personal time, your personal account,
Mhm.
and you're from what I gather, you're not discussing anyone in relation to the station, um, that, it's not like you were talking about your boss or a coworker or anything like that. For that to still kind of be the repercussions is definitely upsetting. I understand they have their image to uphold and all that, but,
Yeah.
um, especially what you said, if it's the truth, then, you know, what's the difference then? Why censor that if it's factual and just because it upset somebody?
I know, yeah, I truly was disappointed. I did like my job a lot. However, I think it at the end of the day was for the best. I really wasn't sure if I wanted to re-sign my 3-year contract or not, and I ended up doing it. It kind of felt like a safety net. And now, like, how broadcast journalism works, like, if you decide to leave or move or something within the confines of your contract, like how I had just extended for 3 years, if I got another job, they could potentially take me to court and, like, make me pay the rest of my contract out instead of paying me. So, really, like, yes, it was kind of an overall negative experience, but in the end, I think it's for the best because now I have the option to like, I've been applying for jobs all over the country, and I have the option to go wherever, and I don't have to pay anything. Actually, they ended up giving me a little bit of money for it, so I kinda came out on top, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have the flexibility, and
Yeah.
it's funny. I've talked to plenty of content creators who,
Mhm,
whether it's sports or lifestyle or anything like that, who I talk to them and they're personal individual creators, and I always ask if the goal is to end up working for a network, working for a big kind of
mhm.
production company, something along those lines, or staying on your own and working things out your own way. So this is interesting to talk to you. Obviously, you still have hopes or you have the potential to go elsewhere, but have you put any thought into like continuing to grow your own personal brand and, doing it out on your own?
Yeah, that's been, I think, another really positive aspect of this time. Obviously, I have a lot more free time now. And I actually was just recently hired to go do a social media collab with a food chain or a restaurant chain, excuse me, Savvy Sliders in Detroit. So they literally flew me out. We made like 13 different TikToks, Instagram reels, and things like that are so fun, like freelance social media. I have a lot of collaborations with like lifestyle things, with like clothing brands. This is around the Fargo Moorhead area that have been so great and supportive, whether they started sponsoring me or doing partnerships with me when I was Miss North Dakota and then just continued. But yeah, my socials have completely taken off. Within the past 6 months, I went from like 8,000 followers on TikTok to 25,000. I went from, I think I had like 6,000 on Instagram too, and now I have over 10. So it's been really fun to focus more on my socials and put the time and effort that I've been wanting to put into them. But then it's also been nice to still make a little bit of money. Actually, I probably have been making more money now that I'm not at the news station on all these social media things. So it's been a blessing for sure.
Yeah, and you really have the flexibility to do what you wanna
Mhm.
do at any given
Yeah.
point, and, obviously, there's contracts involved there and all that,
Mhm.
but you're not as tied down as you are when you're at the network, which I think is great, and, someone like you who has all these different passions can kind of pursue all of them instead of just, you know I'm sure and you said you loved your job and
Mhm.
had fun doing it, but the experience you gained there can definitely help you in this next phase of your life.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the biggest thing that I wish I would have had the opportunity to have was to say goodbye to all my viewers. And I think to not give me that opportunity was, it honestly was really sad because I didn't wake up and do that show every day for fun or to be on TV. Like I did it to connect with people. And I would get so many positive responses when I was out doing things as Miss North Dakota or just myself walking around, the mall, and someone would come up to me and be like, I loved what you said on the show yesterday, or, oh, like, I'm a stay at home mom and I've been feeling super isolated. And when I watched your show for an hour, it felt like I was sitting and chatting with friends. And that's the biggest thing that I wanted to do was make people who are watching my show feel like my friends and feel like a community. And I would have loved the opportunity to just be like saying goodbye to everyone and letting people know because like now people are like, where's Sophia?
Yeah, because did North Dakota Today, did they issue any sort of what happened, or was it just you were there one day and the next day you're not?
Yeah, just gone without a trace. But that's normally what the station
Yeah,
would do, like
that's
when people would leave.
yeah. I mean, show goes on, I guess is the saying.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, you have the opportunity to say, you just said
Mhm.
some nice things about your listeners, but you can, say what you'd like to say or say your goodbye or what you would like to tell your listeners of North Dakota that watched you for would you say 2 years, year
3
and a half,
years, yeah.
3 years.
I know, and it's like, I feel like I have that connection to everyone too, like, even if I never met them in person, still feel like, I'm sharing a part of me with them, and they're sharing a part of their day with me, so, yeah, I'm sorry I didn't get to say goodbye to you guys. Miss you guys, love you.
Well, that's a tough break. I'm for sure that you're certain that you'll land on your feet, and the next thing will be, just as good, if not better. But I do want to go back to the Miss North Dakota 2024,
Yeah.
and kind of your whole story with pageants. I did listen to another podcast that you were on, and kind of got the gist of your kind of growing up through it, and
Mhm.
the very first pageant you entered, you came first runner up,
Yep.
which kind of lit that fire for you, like, oh, I can actually do this. But why don't you tell kind of your story of pageants and how you ultimately became Miss North Dakota?
Yeah, so I was honestly a super awkward little little, like, kinda teenager. I was just not comfortable in my body. I wasn't confident in myself. I didn't think that I was beautiful. I didn't think I was well-spoken. I just kind of looked down on myself, and my mom took me to a pageant. I've always kinda been a girly girl, so my mom took me to a pageant, and I was like, "Wow, this is amazing. Like, look at these girls. I wanna be just like that when I grow up." And it was always Miss North Dakota USA for me. Like, so there's Miss America and Miss USA. And Miss America is more of a scholarship competition. They don't have the swimsuit anymore. And when you're Miss America, you're just Miss America. Obviously, like a huge accomplishment. You get so much scholarship money, but Miss USA, it's a little bit more like modeling based, I would say. And, they still have the swimsuit competition, and then so you win your state, you go to Miss USA, and then you can go on to Miss Universe, so that's the difference, and Miss USA originally stemmed from Miss America, kinda like a spinoff, I guess. So, it was always Miss USA for me, like, I loved the glamour, I was like, "I want to be Miss North Dakota Teen USA," which is the teen division of, like, Miss North Dakota USA. So, competed in that for 3 years. I got first runner up all 3 years in a row, which was fun at first, but then really disappointing, to be so close and yet so far. But for me, I think I didn't know how to win. I didn't I wasn't prepared for what it really meant to be a state title holder and to go compete at the national level. Like, obviously, you think you are, but I was missing that kind of, like, top coat of polishing of why I was actually there. And it was through competing at Miss North Dakota America that I found my true passion for pageants. And it went beyond, just the desire of like wanting to be seen on stage and wanting to present yourself to the audience. It was truly wanting to serve. So as Miss North Dakota America. I won on my third try. My first year, I was a non-finalist. Second year, first runner-up. So fourth time placing first runner-up. And then I ended up walking away with the crown in 2024, which was just like, looking back on my life, that has to be, like, top 5 moments of my life. I was so happy because I had worked so hard for it, and I had really changed my mindset and really visualized, like, what I wanted to do with the crown and why I wanted to compete, and it was to connect, and it was to serve. And so, yeah, I spent my year as Miss North Dakota. I traveled all around the states. I had a ton of appearances, sang the national anthem at a bunch of different events. One of the most notable ones was at WeFest, which is like a huge country music festival. I think it's actually one of the biggest in the country. That was so cool. Something I had wanted to do my whole life. Competed at Miss America. I was a preliminary high score evening gown award winner. So on each phase of preliminary competition, there's three high score winners and I was one of them, which is, like, insane. I was actually one of the f or not one of I was the first Miss North Dakota to ever win a preliminary high score evening gown award, and I believe I was the 76th Miss North Dakota. So, that was an honor to bring that back because it wasn't just an award for me, it was an award for the whole state.
That's incredible. Yeah, to have 75 people come before you and for you to be the one that brings that home and
Yeah,
kind of puts North Dakota on the map in that category is incredible. You said when you in the team division when you were first runner up 3 years in a row, was it the
that
same
was
person you lost to or was it different people each year?
different people each year, and actually one of the girls who had beat me went on to be first runner up at Miss Teen USA, which is also insane. That's only happened, I think, twice. And she's fantastic. And honestly, all those girls deserve to win because, like I said, I didn't have it. And now that I'm older and can look back and reflect, I understand that. But at the time, when I was 16, 17, 18, all those years competing, I'm like, why am I not winning? What's going on? I know I have obviously some skills and talent for it if I'm placing so high, but um yeah, looking back and it was all in God's plan and God's timing, and looking back, I'm glad I didn't win because I don't competing in a national pageant is a lot. It's like 10 days to a week of getting up early for hair and makeup, like, you're at events all day, you're around people all day, your social battery just drains, and then you have to still be so on for competition. Like, it's hard to sometimes find a balance of, like, meeting people, having friends, being fun, like, then locking in for competition. And then you're also expected, like, when I got to Miss America, we had like an 11-page document of all the things that we needed to post on social media for the week. It was called like our social media activations. And they were like, we've promised these sponsors that you guys will all be posting this stuff. Like, it's non negotiable. Like, you need to. So, like, after a long day of rehearsals, shows, activities, like photo shoots, hair, makeup, like lunches, dinners, galas with all the girls, people would literally go home and still be up for like another hour posting on social media, which it's fun, of course, and obviously such a blessing to even be in that position. But I don't think people understand how much goes into it. I mean, you don't just wake up and go to the show. It's like, it's a very intensive schedule.
Yeah, I bet. And that's kind of when you've been on all day, the last thing,
Hmm.
when you finally have that moment to yourself, but you still have to put on the face and still have to,
Yeah.
brave it and put the content out. I had never really thought about that. You think about, what pageant life was like before social media became what it was,
Mm.
and they probably do get that time to unplug when they get done with the day, but, in the modern age, it's like, nope, this is an around the clock kind of thing that you still have
Yeah.
to be working even when you're not at the events. What's the dynamic like, you know, with the other competitors in the pageant, and what's that kind of line between, like, you're in this together, but it's a competition and you're competing, um do you make friends at these things or is it still pretty like, everyone looking out for themselves?
You know what? You would be surprised how much girls are willing to help each other. And I think for me, it was so different competing at Miss North Dakota versus Miss America because a lot of the girls in North Dakota have, like, just started doing pageants or started doing them when you're a teenager. Some of the girls at Miss America, their mom was a title holder, or they literally were on Toddlers and Tiaras. Like, they literally were on the TV show Toddlers and Tiaras. Like, they have been doing this their whole life, and everything in their mind is like every choice they've ever made is to compete at Miss America and to take home the title of Miss America. So they have that drive, like that lifelong passion for it that I didn't get till I was like 22, 21. But in the same breath, like it's not a cutthroat mentality. It truly is just like a passion for it. And they could sit and tell you every Miss America that's ever been and like what the judges panel is, and they're just like such experts on it. And because it's their life and it's so cool because, in the southern states, we call them like sash states, which is states that typically are really competitive at like pageants. So like all the southern states like Texas and then California and New York, they've all had a lot of national title holders and a lot of pageant success over the years. So these girls from these sash states, like they do not play. Like they're just experts. And everyone is just so supportive in a state like North Dakota where pageants are so niche and not a lot of people know about it. It was honestly just cool to see like their teams in action and everything that they had going on. But yeah, I really and truly, and people think I'm lying when I'm saying this, like, I got along with pretty much everyone at Miss America. Like, we would all just be in line waiting for lunch or backstage in rehearsals, and you just go up and start chatting with someone. Um, I was just also so impressed by the caliber of women that compete in pageants. Like, all these women are so well educated. Obviously, it is a scholarship program. They're just so driven and doing such great community work, and it's honestly makes me wanna be a better woman just being around them. So, yeah, I have so many good friends from pageants, it's insane, and it's just fun, like, we can yap for hours and hours about pageant stuff, it's really cool.
Do you still have any connection to Miss, North Dakota or any of the pageant circuit? Do you have any sort of like mentor type role, or have you, reached out to the winners since then? Or there's really only been one since that's coming up again soon, right? The new title holder. So yeah, did you reach out to last year's winner, and have you, made any sort of connection to her or throughout the process of, the competitors?
Yeah, we are all honestly really close. So Kennedy, who won, I actually knew her from high school. We did like a modeling shoot together randomly when we were both like 17. I believe we're the same age. Yeah, we text all the time. I'm gonna see her this weekend at an event actually, so I'm really excited. I actually flew to Miss America to go cheer her on and see all the other girls that I competed with in my year at Miss America. So yeah, I would say we're like close. We chat a lot. She's just so fantastic. She's such a great role model. She's been doing the best job. I'm actually going to be emceeing the Miss North Dakota competition this year. It's in Williston, North Dakota, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I am a local pageant director now too. So I was one of the kind of co-founders, co-directors of the Miss Fargo scholarship competition. So we planned, executed, and crowned 6 title holders. Actually, we started planning that pageant while I was still Miss North Dakota. So, I gave up my crown in June, and the pageant was in September, got everything lined up, got sponsors, so I'm constantly coordinating with sponsors. I was on the phone with one of my title holders for, like, an hour and 10 minutes yesterday just talking about Miss North Dakota and just gossiping about pageants in general. So I help them like with their walks or with interview prep, really anything that they need. So yeah, I would say I'm
That's
very involved.
That's gotta be cool. Obviously, you loved competing and all of that, but I'm sure there was a level of stress and everything that went along with it. It's gotta be cool to kind of take on the role that you have now where you really can just be supportive of the people that are in it, still be connected to something that you love, but the pressure's off and it's not as intense for you in the role that you're in now?
Yes, certainly. And it's so funny, like, I've never gotten to sit and watch the Miss North Dakota competition, like, I was always in it or giving up my title. And this year I'm gonna be emceeing it. So finally next year, I'm gonna be able to sit in the audience and watch, and I'm honestly really excited for it. But it's like, even if you're not competing and you don't have skin in the game, like, you don't have anyone that's like, you're dying to have them win, you get so nervous, like, just watching. Just knowing how it feels to be up on that stage competing, like, you get so nervous, and my parents actually will be the number one people who will say this. They're like, "We hate watching you compete in pageants because we get more nervous than you." Like, my dad, like, refuses. He, like, freaks out if I'm in a pageant and I don't win. He's like, "It's so heartbreaking." And I'm like, "You guys have gotta relax, because like, I'm not even that worked up about it."
Yeah, I'm sure for you though, there's got to be some PTSD when you go back into that environment and you like all the feelings that you felt when you were competing come
Yep.
back.
Yes, for sure.
I want to talk about just growing up in North Dakota in general, because like I said before, I'm in Boston. I grew up in Massachusetts, and North Dakota is a state I've never been to. Don't know anyone from North Dakota.
Mhm.
Um, and I want to ask you this: how do you feel when people lump North Dakota and South Dakota together and kind of say that's just one thing? Because I had to actually look it up myself because I'm like, there's got to be differences to them, and they're obviously very different states. But how does that make you
Yeah.
feel as somebody from North Dakota to just like that's just the Dakotas, lump them together?
That's, like, so personally offensive to me because I feel like North Dakota and South Dakota have beef. Like, we always say like, people from each state will be like, "Yeah, we're the better Dakota," you know? Like, if I'm on a road trip or something and I'm crossing into South Dakota, I, like, take a Snapchat and I, like, say something, like, mean about South Dakota. Like, it's just not as good. I don't know, like, I can't. It's just not it's like a rivalry almost maybe. So, yeah.
It's got to be just because Dakota is in both names, because you know you can't just there's no like reason to just lump them together besides that, because they do
Yeah.
have the different things going for them.
Mhm.
It'd be like saying like Massachusetts and New York are the same because they're next to each other, but they have different,
Mhm.
it just doesn't make any sense. Um, but yeah, so what was like your childhood like growing up in a small town in North Dakota?
Yeah, so I grew up on a fifth generation family farm, which was really, really unique, and I think I wouldn't trade that experience for anything in life. It was amazing. I think being connected to the land in that way and living on the land that your family has poured their blood, sweat, and tears into for the past 5 generations is just something that a lot of people nowadays don't know and can't experience. Also seeing the connection between like grower and consumer. A lot of people don't know where their food comes from, don't understand the process, don't understand how much these farmers put into putting food on your table. And I've always had so much pride knowing that, my family and my dad specifically is like literally feeding America, which is so cool. I mean, some of our commodities actually go across the borders too. They'll go to like Canada, Mexico. Um, so yeah, making an impact literally worldwide is really cool. And it's something that I take so much pride in.
What were you growing on the farm?
Yeah, so we have dried beans. That is kind of like our famous thing. My dad is the president of North Harvest Bean Growers Association, so we love beans. Like corn, barley, wheat, soybeans.
That's very interesting, and I honestly, yeah, the bean never thought about where the beans in my house come from. It's
Mhm.
you totally take everything that you get at the grocery store, you take it all for granted, and to think that you could just look out your window and it was just right there is got to be, I would have an appreciation for that as well.
Yeah, I think also, like, growing up on a farmstead too, and just the history that comes along with it is just it's so cool, and, like, there's just a certain sense of peace that you get, like, your nearest neighbor, excuse me, is literally miles away, like, and it's just quiet, like, I would wake up and hear, like, birds chirping outside my window in the morning, like, just so quiet and peaceful and just having space to do whatever you want is yeah, I wouldn't trade the way that I grew up for the world.
So, what was like going to school in a small town like that like?
It was unique. I had, like, 8 kids in my class, and my sister is a year younger than me, so we kind of were in the same friend group, which was fun. Times we would, like it would cause a lot of arguments between us. But yeah, like, literally all the kids sat at, like, the same lunch table. My dad, aunts, and my grandpa all graduated from the same high school, so it was cool. I would, like, see their picture on the wall. We would have, like, all the graduating class pictures on the wall, so I would see them every day. But yeah, we had, like, the same math, English teacher from 7th grade through 12th grade. So I would hang out with some of my friends from, like, bigger schools, and they would be talking about all the cool clubs and stuff they had and all the cool classes, and I wish that I had had some of those opportunities, but also, like, when you have 8 kids in the class, no one's failing out of anything because the teacher has time and attention to actually sit and work you through everything. So, I think we probably honestly got a better education than most kids because the teachers just care so much because they have the time to sit and help you with things.
Yeah, the ratio of a student to teacher is something that is a problem, I guess, as I mean, the population seems to be shrinking, or at least there's less kids. So it's probably going back a little bit, but when I was in high school, it was rough as far as how many kids would be in a class, and I can only imagine the attention and focus
Mhm.
that you can get when you're one of 8 in a class. How
Yeah.
much do you think, growing up in a small town, fueled you to kind of grow into this kind of media big personality that you became?
You know what? I don't really know. I think everyone in my family has a big personality and they've all been successful in their own right. Like, my grandma was the president of the Women of the Evangelical Lutheran Church of America. My grandpa has run for public office before he was still county commissioner for a number of years. My dad and my aunt had really successful college sports careers. So I think being in the spotlight was something that kind of just felt intuitive to me, and I wanted to make a name for myself that was beyond like, "Oh, you're Tony's daughter, you're Katie's niece, you're Randy and Carmen's granddaughter," because in a small town, like I mentioned, everyone knows everyone, and I wanted to be like, "No, that's Sophia, she's doing her own thing," and having achieved that was really cool, especially at a young age.
Yeah, I think that, you know, it was more of the surrounding people in your life that led to it more than just being in that small town that you wanted to make your own name. I think that's really impressive.
Thanks.
What you've built this pageant personality. You obviously were on TV, social media, and everything, but you still have those roots of being that kind of farm girl. And I saw your videos of you riding Broncos, and that's something that I don't even think I'd want to be 10 feet near one of those things. And you just hopped on the back, no problem. And um, I think it's crazy that you can wear both hats. And does that surprise people that know you as a, TV personality or social media personality first, that you still have those kinda country roots in you?
I think so. Yeah. Something that I've always said is like, you don't have to be just one thing, especially women. Like, you can be so multifaceted. Like, you can do literally whatever you want. Yeah, you don't have to be just a pageant girl. You don't have to be like stuck in your career. You don't have to be labeled by anything. Like, you can do whatever you want. But yeah, the bronc riding, no one in my family rodeos. Like, we grew up on a farm, but we don't have like livestock horses. And it was just something that was always in the back of my mind, like, "Oh, I really wanna do this." I had actually made a joke to my family that, like, I really love to do, like, pranks and things. So I was, like, trying to convince my family that I was gonna go do this, like, 3 years ago, and they were like, "Absolutely not. What are you thinking?" Because obviously it's extraordinarily dangerous, like, had I fallen off one of those
Yeah.
Broncs yeah, had I fallen off a Bronc and gotten a hoof to the head, like, I would not be sitting here right now. Like, if I got thrown off and landed wrong on my neck or my back or my head, like, it's so easy to get injured in something like that. Um, but yeah, I honestly it's obviously very scary, but I conquered the fear of it, and, like, when you're getting your saddle and everything adjusted and you get into the chute on the Bronc, like, you have to nod your head to say, like, "Okay, I'm ready to go," and working up the courage to actually nod, like, and be like you really have to, like, let go and let God with that situation, like, all you can control is yourself, and you don't know if he's gonna run out of the chute, if he's gonna start bucking right away, if he's gonna throw you against the walls of the chute, like, you don't know, you just have to literally nod and hold on for dear life, so, yeah, it was a really cool experience. I don't know if I'll be entering rodeos anytime soon. It's kinda hard for women to break into it, and also, like, I was so sore for a week afterwards. Like, I was using muscles I didn't even know I had trying to stay on those Broncs, so yeah, I don't think I'll be doing
What
that.
was your official time? How long did you stay on?
We weren't timing, but I tried to count it, and I think it was, like I wanna say it was, like, 6 seconds. My grandma's convinced it was 8 seconds, but I don't know quite.
Now in something like that, it's does time move faster or slower? Does it feel like it's like an instant, or is that like feel like an eternity when you're on the back of something like that?
It Oh, that's hard. I feel like I kind of almost black out when I get out of the chute.
Yeah.
And, like, everything that you have been taught on how to stay on, I haven't worked past, like, being able to be more cognizant of what I'm actually doing with my body instead of just, like, trying to stay so stiff and hold on to my rein.
Yeah.
And, like, when I watch my rides back, like, I'm literally not using my legs or spurring the horse at all. Like, I'm just, like, literally holding on for dear life.
Just holding
Um
on for dear life.
Yeah, so I think I would have to practice on some practice stock for a while before I could really, like, master it, but yeah, I only got on 3. I mean, that's 3 more than the average person, but yeah.
3 more than I'll ever do.
Yeah, well, who knows?
I I yeah, we'll see. I think,
Yeah,
that's gotta just be something that you could do all the preparation and strategy and everything in the
mhm.
world, but then once that gate opens and it's just like it's just your instincts kick in and that's all you have. It's you don't have a game plan anymore.
Yeah, that's how it was for me, but, you live and you learn.
Before we go, Sophia, I do want to talk about I was following your, United Airlines saga, on your recent trip. And,
Yes.
how did that get resolved? I don't know if I am completely up to date, but how did you get your bag back? How long did it take? What was
Yes,
the process with that?
I got my bag, so, like, I get to the Fargo airport, and everything was on time, it was perfect. Also, do you know who Josh Duhamel is? He's an actor. He's from North Dakota, and he
Yeah.
lives in Fargo. Yes. So, he was on my flight, and I'm like whenever I see famous people, I, like, try not to be a fangirl. I'm, like, trying to act super cool and nonchalant. Like, I'm not gonna, like, go up and ask him for a picture, even though I really want one, you know? So, I was like, "Oh, yeah, whatever. I'm not gonna say hi." The So there was, like, plane issues, something was leaking on the plane, everyone got off the plane, so he and I were trying to get rebooked, we were, like, in the same line, and they went and got his bags for him off the plane, he's like, "Go ask them, whatever, to get my bags," I'm like, "Okay," so I go up to get my bags off the plane, and she's like, "That plane already took off." like, "That plane's gone with your bags on it, and you're sitting here." And I'm like, "What? Like, they didn't tell me they were taking off. What the heck?" So I got rebooked on another flight, and then I get back up to the actual gate because at this point, I'm, like, in the entryway of the airport. Like, I had to literally leave and go all the way back through TSA. I get back and the plane is still there. I'm like, "Well, can I still go on this plane?" The guy rebooked me on the same flight I originally was supposed to be on. I had, like, 10 minutes to run from, like, B99 to A20 in the Denver airport, made it on my next plane to Tampa, and it turns out that my bags never left Fargo. I was so mad, so then I had to go to Walmart and get new outfits for, like, 2 days, which they honestly ended up being really cute, and it was fun. And then I got them, like, 2 days into my trip. So then on the way home, Josh Duhamel was on my flight again, and I'm like, "Did you get your bags? Like, what the heck?" "I never got mine." He was like, "Man, that sucks." So, yeah, I think we're, like, best friends now.
I mean, you're two of the most famous people in North Dakota. You should be.
I don't know about that. I feel like he's on, like, a different level for sure, but, yeah, I never asked for
I
a
mean,
picture. I was trying to act nonchalant. Yeah.
I think pictures are great, but that's crazy though, both ways and
Yeah,
seeing them both ways.
I know, it
That's
was
funny.
hilarious. So, yeah.
Well, Sophia, this has been so much fun. Why don't you say where people can follow you on social media and the next chapter of your journey?
Yes, you can stay up to date with me on Instagram at the Sophia Richards. You can also follow me on TikTok. It's the first 2 letters of my first name and the first 3 letters of my last name, so rich. People ask me why that's my TikTok handle. It's not because I'm so rich, it's because that's my name. And then on Facebook, you can follow me at Sophia Richards TV.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Sophia, thank you so much for telling me all about North Dakota. I feel like I have a better understanding, and now I don't like South Dakota. I am on Team North Dakota. I have declared my allegiance. So I am on Team North Dakota with you and Josh Duhamel.
Okay, I love it, and as you should be.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sophia. This is great.
Yes, thanks for having me.